The clowns in the parking lot open with a dimly lit parking lot. Faint carnival music plays in the background. I don't like clowns. Never have. But I never really feared them either. Not until last night. I work late shifts at a diner just off the highway. It's nothing fancy. Just a place for truckers and night owls to grab coffee and a meal. I was the last one out, locking up around 2 a.m. The parking lot was empty except for my car. Or at least, that's what I thought. As I walked toward my car, I heard the faintest squeak, like a shoe against pavement. I stopped listening, but there was nothing. Just the flickering street lamp and the hum of the highway in the distance. Then I saw them. 3 figures standing just outside the glow of the streetlight. Clowns, not the cheerful party kind. Their makeup was smeared, their costumes stained, and their grins too wide, too wrong. I fumbled with my keys, my heart hammering. "Can I help you?" I asked, trying to sound casual. They didn't answer. They just stood there, watching. Then one of them tilted its head, slow and deliberate. Another took a step forward, the squeaking sound again. I didn't wait to find out what they wanted. I yanked open my car door and slammed it shut, locking it. My hands were shaking as I started the engine. That's when they moved. Not walked. Ran. All 3 of them, sprinting toward my car with inhuman speed. I threw the car into reverse so fast my tires screeched. One of them slammed a gloved hand against my window, smearing something dark across the glass. I peeled out of the lot, my breath coming in short gasps. My headlights caught them in the mirror, standing in the middle of the road, just watching me go. I didn't stop driving until I got home, and even then, I sat in my locked car for a long time staring at my rearview mirror. I don't know what they wanted. I don't want to know. But I haven't been back to work since. And last night, there was a balloon tied to my mailbox.
The clowns that follow. I never really minded clowns. They were just performers, harmless in their own strange way. But that changed last October. It started on a regular Tuesday night. I was leaving work late, walking through the half-empty parking lot, when I saw him, standing beneath a flickering streetlight. A clown. Not the friendly kind. His costume was faded, his oversized shoes scuffed. The paint on his face looked rushed, uneven, as if he had done it in a hurry. He wasn't doing anything, just standing there staring. I kept walking, pretending I didn't notice. But as I reached my car, I glanced back. He was closer now. Not running, not even walking. Just closer. I got in my car and locked the doors. By the time I pulled out of the lot, he was gone. I told myself it was nothing, just some weirdo trying to scare people. But the next night, he was there again. Different spot, same vacant stare. And this time, he wasn't alone. A second clown stood by the entrance of the parking lot. This one was taller, his grin exaggerated by black paint curling at the corners of his mouth. I drove home faster that night. Then they started showing up everywhere. At the gas station down the street, outside my apartment complex. Once, standing across the road while I waited for my morning coffee. They never spoke, never moved when I was watching. But I knew they were following me. One night I woke up to a soft tapping on my window. I live on the 3rd floor. I didn't look. I didn't want to see. I just pulled the covers over my head and waited for morning. The next day there were clown footprints, muddy, smeared on my balcony. I don't know what they want. I don't know when it will stop. But I know one thing. They're getting closer. A week passed. The clowns never disappeared. If anything, there were more of them now. Different faces, different costumes, but always the same blank stare, the same slow, creeping presence in my life. One afternoon, I decided to test it. I got in my car and just drove, miles out of town, taking random turns, doubling back. After an hour, I stopped at a rest area off the highway. There was no one else there, just a vending machine humming in the quiet. I stepped out of my car and breathed in the cool air. No clowns. I almost laughed at how ridiculous I'd been acting. Maybe it was all in my head. Then I saw it, a bright red balloon floating just above the tree line, and then another, and another. One by one, they rose from behind the trees, bobbing gently in the wind. I didn't stay to see what was holding them. I left my coffee on the roof of my car, threw it into reverse, and sped out of there. That night, I locked every door, checked every window, but it didn't matter. I woke up to the sound of my closet door creaking open. The air smelled like grease paint. And then, in the darkness, I heard it. A giggle, low, breathless, right next to my bed.
The clown year, 2016, was a weird year. A lot happened, but the thing that stuck with me the most? The clowns. It started as some kind of prank. People dressed as clowns, standing on street corners, lurking near the woods, staring at passing cars. At first it was funny, just another internet trend. Then it got worse. I remember the first time I saw one in person. I was walking home from my friend Jake's house. It was late, the streets quiet. I turned a corner, and there he was, standing under a street lamp, half in shadow. His outfit was old, dirty, like he'd been wearing it for weeks. His mask was frozen in a wide, painted grin. He didn't move, just stood there, watching. I told myself to keep walking, to ignore him. But when I glanced over my shoulder, he was still there. Same spot, same grin. The next night, he was outside my house. At first, I thought it was just some dumb prank, maybe some local teenager messing around, but the longer I looked, the more I realized something was off. The way he stood there, perfectly still, the way the air around him seemed wrong. I tried to shake it off, but I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined that painted grin just outside my window. The next morning, I told myself it was over. I was being paranoid. But then I started seeing more of them. One in the grocery store parking lot, standing between two cars, head tilted slightly, like he was listening for something. One across the street from my job, standing in the alley, half hidden in the shadows. And then, one night, I woke up to the sound of tapping. At first, I thought it was a branch hitting the glass. The wind was strong that night, but when I turned over and looked at my window, I saw it. A pale white hand, just the fingertips pressed against the glass. And then, ever so slowly, the figure leaned forward. The face came into view. It was him, the first clown. Up close, the mask wasn't a mask at all. It was his face. The paint wasn't smeared. It was cracked, like dry, peeling skin. His grin didn't move, but his eyes did. Wide, yellowed eyes that locked onto mine through the glass. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Then slowly, his hand slid down the window, leaving a faint smudge on the glass. He stepped backward, disappearing into the dark. I didn't sleep after that. The next morning there was nothing outside, no footprints, no sign that anyone had been there, but I knew what I saw. And just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. The news stopped reporting on the clowns. The internet moved on. People forgot. But I didn't. Because sometimes, late at night, I get this feeling, like someone's watching me. And when I look outside, there's always something just beyond the streetlight's reach. Waiting. Months passed. Life went back to normal, but the feeling never left. One night, I was driving home late, cutting through a back road that ran past the woods. My headlights swept over the trees, and for a second, I thought I saw something. A figure. I hit the brakes, my heart hammering. The road was empty. I told myself I was just tired, seeing things. But then I noticed something in my rearview mirror, a shape, standing just at the tree line. I didn't wait to get a better look. I pressed down on the gas, speeding away, refusing to check the mirror again. But when I got home, there was a balloon tied to my mailbox, a single red balloon swaying slightly in the wind. I stood there, staring at it, my throat dry. The clowns were gone, that's what everyone said. So why did I feel like they were still watching? I untied the balloon and let it go, watching it disappear into the night sky. But as I turned to go inside, I noticed something down the street. A figure standing just beyond the glow of the streetlights. Not moving. Just watching.